What's up, everyone? Happy New Year, and welcome back to Corked Stats here on YouTube with your host, John Laghezza, the big dude with a big mouth from the Big Apple. I don't know if you recognize me or not. I had a prior before, and I figured, hey, man, why not stay dressed for success? Because that's what we're all about as we approach the Major League Baseball fantasy season coming up. Man, I think it's going to happen. I'm not worried about the lockout. You want to worry about that stuff? I'm not worrying about that. I'm getting down into the numbers and getting prepped to make some money, playing fantasy, playing best ball, drafting holds, and eventually once the season starts, you know I'm handicapping every single day with that MLB moving averages algorithm. If you're unfamiliar with my work, welcome everyone. You can check me out at MLB Moving Averages on the Bluebird Twitter machine. That's at MLB Moving AVG. Get at me any time of day, any day of the week, especially this time of year, man. I'm coming out the chair, wearing six gear, getting you ready for those high stakes fantasy baseball drafts. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel. And I also have some stuff on the Mayo Media Network. We've gone over Sleeper Ranger Suarez, what hitters to take in the first round of point leagues. So I'm coming hot and heavy, bringing that heat 115 off the crack of the bat as always. So without any further ado, let's get into today's topic. A follower asked me about one of my personal favorite players, Matt Olson, and if we thought he could sustain the gains that we saw last year. I'm not just going to read your stats. We're going to get into the nuance, get into the context, because that's a thing that we do. Me, you, and the Cork Stats crew. Let's go, everybody. You check it out. I got the slider bars up from Savant. You never want to overreact, but they do look pretty strong. Nothing wrong with that. I want to dive into the season that Matt Olson had. He returned over $40 in Roto Leagues, 156 games, 673 plate appearances. He made all of his starts. That's what we want to see. The batting average bounced back in a major way to 271, 212 combined runs and ribbies with 39 home runs, and he even chipped in with 4 steals, something that is really a big help in Roto Leagues. I mentioned speed in my Tommy Edman video on the Mayo Media Network. And, you really don't want to put yourself in a position where you're chasing speed without a good profile to back it up. Let's get back into good profiles. Matt Olson was insane last year. 540 slug, 911 OPS, a 379 WOBA, and 146 WRC+. All the expected stats jumping off the page, a 498 X slug, 377 X WOBA, and then into the disciplinary metrics that really separated him from his prior career path. Matt Olson had a 17% K rate, but a 13% walk rate. 6% K minus walk from a hitter that gave you 39 home runs is outrageously good. The chase rate, his O swing at 28%, like 4 or 5% better than average, and his in-zone contact rate at 84%, which is probably like league average, but extremely good for a player with that kind of power. Olson lifts the ball a ton. He had a 44% fly ball rate, and then the power stats are just elite, elite, elite. 49% hard hit rate via StatCast, 13% barrel, 7% blast. If you're unfamiliar with blast, they're the ideal subset of barrels. He had a plus 400 WOBA on contact and expected WOBA on contact. His max EV over 115 with a better than 21% dynamic hard hit rate. Matt Olson was phenomenal. Now, the thing that separated him this past year from years prior was the discipline, and that's what you come here for, and that's what we're going to get into. I know we have some audio-only listeners. I would suggest you get and check out the video to see the chart yourself, but I will walk you through them. You see the year-over-year K rate. Olson's has spiked down below the league average, but I also added in the 40-game rolling K to give you an idea of how it played out. Man, it looks like a change was made, but K rate alone is not enough to act on. Let's get in to see what was happening with the loss of Ks. And if you look at the bottom left, that walk rate came in accordance with the drop in K. That's a great thing, but there was even more to look at, and it was a true skill exchange. Because yes, it kind of stands to some intuition that walks may rise as Ks go down, with the possibility of patience. But the thing I wanted to highlight here was the in-zone contact rate that I mentioned before. Look at the subsequent rise in that metric as the Ks went down. So it's not just more patient, It's more selective, but then more efficient with his contact rate in zone. Those are the things we want to see when we're looking for a step forward. I'll bring up all the power metrics. Again, there's really not much to be desired here, but in case you're into that kind of thing, the hard hit rate is elite. The X slug is elite. The barrel percentage was elite. But probably most importantly for rotisserie leagues was the subsequent rise in batting average with the batted ball quality, which built off the disciplinary gains that we saw. I mean, right off the bat, I don't want to drop the mic yet, but man, this looks really good. It tends, I should say, it stands to reason for me at least to think that these are sustainable, that the gains we saw were real. Again, disciplinary metrics are something I'd like to base a lot of my analysis on because they're in control of the hitter. Once the ball is off the bat, things can get wonky. Round ball, round bat, a millimeter here, a millimeter there, poor defense, bad bounce, maybe a rock on the dirt or something. I mean, umpires, there's a million things that could change the output. I like to focus on the input, and man, nothing to be desired here. But again, nuance and context, the name of the game, the devil always in the details, and it's the reason that you keep coming back to hang with the big dude. I have some disciplinary charts up here, the swing profile charts for Matt Olson for both 2020 when he was terrible and 2021 to see if we can see what we see, right? A lot of C's there. To see if we could maybe put our thumb on a real change beyond just the skill change that I highlighted, right? Because even that is an output stat. I want to get back into the inputs. So I have here your 2020 swing profile, your 2020 whiff profile, and then the same for 2021. And it is extremely clear to me that we have seen a hitter that has taken control of the strike zone. I'm going to walk you through it for the audio people or maybe those that are unfamiliar with these charts. Again, I like to appeal to the one-on-one players. I also like to appeal to the highest stake players, man. You come here for it all. I never take my foot off the gas when it comes to prepping for baseball. This is how I keep my kids fed, how I keep the lights on, baby. So let's look at 2020. You see a very narrow window for swings. Now, remember, Olson is a lefty, so it's in middle and then maybe up, but everything in. Look at the tightness of that window. And then if you look at the next chart, what happens when he would expand his swings? They were all whiffs. Look at all the whiffs were high or away just outside of that tight window. Let's fast forward to 2021 where you see an expanded window. Olson has now begun to cover more of the zone, the top part of the plate and away, places he was not even offering at. And then look at the subsequent change in whiff rate. He stopped whiffing in that area of the plate altogether. That is what we want to see. His understanding of the strike zone and his approach has tangibly changed. So if you're asking me if I'm buying the disciplinary gains, the answer is yes. And then if you're asking me if I'm buying the batting average, the answer is yes. So when we want to look forward, we always want to take into account projections. The one out right now, the best in the business likely, is Steamer. They're out right now. I'm going to bring up that overlay. It's right above those curly Q's of mine. So I have Matt Olson's career stat board up. Again, not really much to worry about. We did have the sinkhole in 2020. The K rate spiked, the contact spiked, and it took the average down with it. But considering it was only 60 games and we've had a full set that came with improvements, I'm not really worried about that at all. And if you want to even go a bit further, just look at the chart. I mean, that downswing is really the anomaly right there. And unless we see input stats change to justify that, I have no problem just kind of waving away what we saw in 2020. So let's dive back into those projections. And I think I'm very much in line with Steamer here, except on the average. So Steamer has a full complement of games. Of course, he is an everyday player. They have 93 runs. I think that could be a bit higher. You know, we never know. I know Oakland maybe have taken a step back, but the way they get on base, that could be a bit higher. But let's say the 93 sounds fair. 104 ribbies sounds about right. 39 home runs. You know, I'm down with that. 3 steals as well. But Steamer does have the average at 258 because of a 270 BABIP. I think if we saw the BABIP come up just a touch, I mean, the batted ball quality is there, then I think we could get a repeat of the average for Olson, more 265, 270 that we've seen in his past. Again, we don't want to split hairs over, single points in batting average, but batting average is a major component of Roto. So looking forward for me, it is wheels up. I'm buying all of the changes that we've seen on Matt Olson last year. I fully expect that to go forward. So where can we place him in these draft rooms? If we're talking about point leagues or best ball leagues that use points like Fantrax, Olson has the potential to return first round value. He's falling into like the second, more like the third, and that's where I'm making sure to snatch him up, really, regardless of the depth or the perceived depth at first base. I don't care. Now, in Roto, where there's a bit more nuance, I still think Olson, it really warrants that third round or fourth round pick. I think that's where I've been getting him in the fourth, which is just fine by me. You are getting chip-ins with steals. He's not a zero. And that 3 to 5 from power hitters really does add up. If you have 5 or 6 power hitters and you choose to get guys that steal 3 or 5 bases, 6 hitters at 3 steals, that 18 steals absolutely will be the difference in a few standing spots at the end of the season. So do not sell short. Oh, whatever, it's only 3 steals. Do not sell that short. Those 3 steals are very important. And I think we could get 4 or 5 until maybe a bit of juice in those legs. And then I mentioned the average again. I believe the average could be at 270 or perhaps even better if the gains continue. Remember, he's only 27, firmly in his prime, and growth is not linear. So, the batted ball quality is there. If the discipline continues to find its way into those good to very good or possibly even elite range at times, you could be seeing easily a second round return, even in Roto, which can be very difficult for a player without steals. But I truly do believe Olson has a chance to get some MVP votes this year, even on a bad team. We're looking at 40 home runs. If the batting average falls right and he gets 275, 280 with, 200 combined ribbies and runs, you're talking about a guy that could deservedly get some MVP votes. So I'm all about that Olson life and those elephants balancing on beach balls there at the Sunny Bay in California. Give me all the Olson. I'm all about it, and I'm not really buying the argument that it's empty power. Empty power I more think of as 240 and 32 home runs. If we're talking 270 and 39 home runs with a handful of steals and 200 ribbies plus runs, that to me is not empty. It's a 4 category contributor and just a sprinkle in that 5th. So everybody, I hope you enjoyed the Matt Olson breakdown and a bit of the new look. Super snazzy. Like I said before, please get up in the comments. Let me know how I'm doing, who else you'd like to see, what you want added, what you want removed, or just in general, how you think I'm doing at this. So I think that'll do it. Thanks for picking up what I'm putting down. I appreciate all of your time, everybody. Rate, review, subscribe, get up on Twitter, give me a follow, ask me any questions you want. I just dropped some really cool stuff on Twitter. I'm always working. I try to develop a singular descriptive stat for a pitcher's season. We have WRC Plus for hitters. Now, these things are not perfect, but at least WRC Plus will give you an inkling, and then you could take your investigation. For pitchers, we don't have that. We have ERA, but that doesn't include strikeout rates. It doesn't include home run rates. So I took like 24 stats, my favorite ones, and started weighing them, and I put together a formula on the Madden-esque scale right now. Overall ratings, 0 to 100. Check it out on Twitter at MLB Moving AVG whenever you can. Thanks again, everybody, for the last time. Happy New Year from myself, Big Johnny. Enjoy your day. And that's it, man. I catch you on the flip side. Peace.